Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. This is a day in the office on January 27th, 2026 at approximately 3:37 p.m. PST. Now, I got up this morning thinking today was supposed to be a pretty good day, given yesterday was phenomenal. Instead, the bottom fell out of the bucket. So I fought with myself for most of the morning, going, do I even have it in me to get back in the office to flip this screen on? And I decided, I can buy into the fight, or I can decide to do something with it. So here I am. The other thing I was thinking this morning was this whole issue. Hold that. Ow. Was this whole issue of spirituality and, more to the point, mainstream religion and sinning. And I got thinking about it. What am I really looking at when people are talking about sinning? I do. Of course it isn't here. So, I will get to that thought process in half a moment. Okay. Well, I clearly started that off on a side foot. So, half a moment. Well, that worked out really well. Anyway, I got looking at the whole concept, because I grew up, as I've told people, I grew up in the church. Okay, I do consider myself Christian, in as much as I do believe in God and I do believe in Christ. But this whole thing about sinning and forgiveness, the whole 9 yards, it's a wonderful thought to think that, and I'm not going to qualify which religion does what. That's up to you guys. But do understand something. The theory amongst most mainstream religions, the ones that believe in Christ anyway, in one form or another, is as long as you ask forgiveness, you got it. He apparently showed up to forgive everybody their sins, but let's get something straight. Okay, that was for the sins that they had already committed, not for the new ones. Because if you're just saying, I'm sorry, and asking for forgiveness and carry on doing the same thing, that's not letting things go. Eternity, how you doing? You are in with the goal. There is this thing about repentance, if you will. And what I mean by that is, you do something wrong, you break one of the laws that you've been following. Okay, you do something wrong, you ask forgiveness, this is great, you can get it, but change your flaming behavior. Okay, so many people don't even bother. It's like, oh, I asked forgiveness, so I'm good. This is not the way it works. Okay, it's great saying I'm sorry, and this is why, I will turn around, and if I lose my vocal temper, I will apologize. Unfortunately, whether I apologize or not, my temper is still what it is. And that, unfortunately, is something I have to deal with. And I can continue blaming other people, but it's me that lets the temper go. Now I should have this up and running so I can see what I'm doing. Where are we? Right there. Because I want to see how many people we've got right now. I think we're seeing at 716. Well, let us see here. And we pop that up. And we're sitting at 716, which is not a bad thing at all. So I look at it going, okay, I can apologize until I'm blue in the face, but the fact is, if I don't alter what I'm doing, how is anybody supposed to really, really perceive that I actually meant, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, please, I'm sorry I lost my temper and I hit you. My apologies. Meanwhile, you're standing there thumping on the person, either physically or metaphorically. I'll tell you right now, the person you're beating on is not going to accept your apology all that well. Okay. So what I'm looking at here is I've got a mess on my hands upstairs. I am not perfect by any functional sense. Okay. Now, what is that? That is, see, I've got 12. Oh, that's what I did wrong. I have 12 major projects I'm working on, and I'm so far behind myself, I'm almost in front of me. Right. Scratch that, out we go. Mm-hmm. Nope. There we are. Okay. So I am making headway with changing certain aspects. One of the biggest things that I've become very familiar with is the idea of procrastination. I am good at it. Okay, this is not something you really desire to be good at, I'll tell you. Now, do I have... Oh, yes. I did tell this young lass that I would do this, so I just got to find it. Okay, now, this here. There's a young lass I know in town here that is striving to get her own business up and running. And like I told her, okay, I work on a global base, so most of you this won't matter to. But if you happen to be in Kelowna, BC, okay, this young lady, she's just opening her own business. Okay, her name is Taya Lee Adams. Okay, and what her business is she is painting houses, as in the outside of houses. They're starting their bookings for May, because let's face it, we are in the dead of winter here right now. Okay. So if you are in Kelowna, or if you know somebody in Kelowna, BC, Canada, absolutely, this business will be listed in Positive Perspectives. I'm bringing it out online pretty quick. Well, online. It'll be coming out to your doorstep if you've requested it. I'm still behind the 8 ball, and that is annoying me to no end. I just do it. There it is. But if you go, and this is done just verbally because, well, frankly, that's the way this works. If you, let's see, I should have done that earlier. But if you're looking to get a house painted in Kelowna, BC, or likely somewhere in the nearby area, absolutely, drop me a line. I will put you in touch with her without a problem. Okay, I got to talk to her and to Taya Lee about how she wants to go about things. Told her I was going to spread word, so here we are. Now, again, the reality of it is this. Okay, when you're looking at you saying you're going to do something, follow through with it. And what do we got? There we are. Just want to make sure I haven't missed anybody. And, I was absolutely stunned the other day, actually right here yesterday. The amount of people that ended up in here was just bizarre. And of course, the other thing we look at today, where is it? Right here. That. Tonight, which is Tuesday, we will be working on Your Home is Your Self-Image. Okay, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that tonight at 8 p.m. Pacific. Okay. Philip, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, again, the way I figure it, I'm working in my office, yes. Absolutely. But the reality is that while I'm working in the office, I'm going to do what I can to help people as much as possible. Okay. Now, I know somebody in there is probably sitting there going, Well, you really need a moderator in here. And much as it's a cute thought, I really don't. Okay? Because the reality of it is this. Okay? If I have a problem, I'll close the stream for the day. It's just that simple. Okay? But I'm in here because I'm just puttering. But I do keep an eye so if there is a question, I can catch up with it. Now, what's it? Don't need that. Okay. And yes, I've got my necessary coffee. Gee, I really should look that up, shouldn't I? Not coffee, I know what that is. Nope, not that. Where, pray tell, is it? Not listed that way yet. Okay. I was looking to see if I could get information on the internet regarding CaribouCon, which I will be at. Thanks, Philip. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Well, Jonathan Winters was a phenomenal comedian. You know, he really was, especially in his day. I suspect at this point, given his age at the time, he's probably passed away. But he was a riot to listen to. You know, I wish I had some sense of comedy to that effect, but honestly, that seems to be a little lax. There it is. Now, I did hang on to that for a reason, so we'll pop that in there. I appreciate the corroboration there, Philip. You know, now what I'm looking at is, okay, where am I standing? And I'm going to call this up. We have, I think that's completely done, except, where are we? Yeah, I have to finish the index for positive perceptions. That'll get finished tonight because everything else looks like it's all done, all written. Yeah, it's all purple, or all purple. It's all red, except to double check on the books that are available and the index itself. So I will get to them today. And do I have any that are? Nope, that looks good. So that makes it easy. I can get that out today and still give me enough time to get February out because most of it's already written. So we minimize that. And, you know, I look at it, like I said, I was looking at this whole thing of sinning. Okay. And I'm not going down a long road on this whole idea of becoming a religious zealot. That's just not going to happen. Oh, there we go. Philip is just bringing us up to speed. April 11th, 2013 was the day he passed. Says he was 87. Lord knows I'm aiming for 80. Actually, I'm aiming for 137. I'm 63 right now. If I can pull that off, I'll just about break the record, at least in modern times. You know, but right now I'm going, okay, where do we go? Okay, here we are sitting in my office. My office is set up properly. And what I'm looking at is where can I go from here? Well, I'm building an empire. I am nobody on the on the larger scale. I really am nobody specific. Okay. I am simply an individual with an image in my head. Hey, Cowie, how we doing? Glad you could join us. You are in with the silver. Whoa, that was good. I love it when I get dizzy like that. Actually, I really don't. Now, this can go away. But I got thinking about it. And the more I thought about it, the more I looked at it and went, I I keep saying this is what I'm going to do. Well, I am a professional procrastinator. I'm good at it. It's not getting me very far. So I've got to change that behavior real quick here. Did not need to do that. And that can go to the shredder. That, again, I don't require. As you can tell, I'm disposing of stuff as we go. You know, one of the biggest things that we got to look at when you're looking at where your life is going is where do you actually desire it to go? Now, this is... Oh, those are the ones I have to deal with. But they're for next month. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Those ones I've got to hang on to. Well, until I get them transcribed. But that gets done right after I get off this stream. And then I start putting February together, which I think I've already got February set up. Now, like I said, if you do have a question, to me it doesn't matter what the question is. I will give you an honest answer. Okay. Now, office desk is sorted around what is this? That's my list of goals I've got to go on, and this is a short list. Where pray tell did I put? And of course, you know, I seem to do this a lot. Got that there. Where is that? Right there. Yep, that was it. I had to throw one of my many clipboards out because it finally wore out. Oh, Phil goes, I keep having, what's this? Pundits saying that someone alive right now could live to 150. The lady who played Dorothy, Dorothy's Feet in the Wizard of Oz, will be 107 this spring. You know, I figure the way I look at it, I asked for 3 things when I was just a wee lad. Okay, I had 3 goals in life. One was to get off this mud ball. That one I pulled off. I forgot to say don't bring me back. So they keep bringing me back. You know, that was number 1. Number 2 was to find peace of mind. I'm still struggling with that because I'm still trying to figure out how people can be so dishonest in today's world and so incompetent and ready to blame other people. I mean, across the board. There are a few exceptions. So if you're one of these people that when you say you're going to do something, you do it. Do not take that on from me. Okay. It's just that I've been dealing with things this morning that have been a nightmare because I never should have had to deal with them. Okay. And of course, the third one was to see the 22nd century in this body in functionally healthy shape. Okay. And, you know, and what I qualify as functionally healthy is I can deal with being a paraplegic. Okay. I don't desire to be a quadriplegic, have mental dysfunction any more than what I've already got. You know, as in my vocal temper is a bit of a shambles. Actually, it's really well developed. Okay. But for me to see the 22nd century, I've got to live another 76 years. And I'm only 63. So we'll see how that goes. But the way I figure it, the more stress I remove from my life, the better off I am. And the catch to it, and I started this whole thing off with the concept of what happens when you sin. Well, if you're asking forgiveness, okay, from anybody, change your behavior. If you already know you're doing something wrong, change your behavior. Okay, kind of an important factor. And most people, frankly, refused it. I thought I pulled that in. I did not. Grabbed my clipboard and forgot to pull it out of the bag. Which does sort of indicate that, I do suffer from what I call, what a lot of people call Kraft's disease. Meaning I can't remember a flaming thing. You fill in the F word you choose. Okay. Now, and I've got a list of things here. Like I said, this list method works like an absolute charm, but you've got to put the effort in. Yeah, isn't that neat there, Philip? But yes, born in 1963, May 13th, at approximately 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Died a number of times, but walked out of the morgue on approximately 4:14 p.m. August 1st of 68. Well, I look, and according to standard numerology, 9 would be a lucky number. Now, here's the thing: it's also beginnings and endings. I don't work with standard numerology, and I am writing a booklet on enhanced numerology. Okay, meaning there's a couple of flaws I ran into with numerology, not the least of which is in standard numerology. And before I go down that road, understand when you look at the formulae, your birth number, what year, your birth year, this sort of thing. All of the calculations are right. It's the number system that is a bit of a hiccup. Who just popped in here? Ken, long time no see. How you doing? It's been a rough run this past year, but yes, we are back on track, and we are planning on staying that way in spite of the occasional blowout. But in what I call universal numerology, I use the numbers 1 to 12 as single digit. So the formulae for your birth number, for your birth number, your birth year, this sort of thing, those are accurate. It's the number system that's a problem. Now the 9 and the number 9 in universal numerology is discrimination. You get to fine tune the direction you're heading, the changes you desire to make. Okay. What I did discover was that all numbers are equally important. Let's face it, you can't get to number 10 without the number 9. You also can't get to number 2 without the number 1, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I'm looking at this whole setup going, where am I heading from here? Now, to build an empire, I've got to have a nervous system. Okay, we've got to have a communication network. This has been accommodated. Okay, we've got Positive Perceptions, which is tonight at 8 p.m., where we're going to be discussing your home is your image. Then we've got A Day in the Office, which is right here. Both of these streams are absolutely free. And if you've got questions, absolutely pop them in. I'll give you an honest answer if I catch up the question. The problem most people seem to miss is I keep telling you, if you've got a question, put it in all caps or I'm not likely to see it. Okay? Of course, if I don't see it, I'm not answering. It's just that simple. And then, of course, I've got Positive Perspectives, which is an absolutely free magazine. And that you can find if you go to the link at the top of the page to buymeacoffee.com/innervoicej. You'll come across all the books I've written. Okay. And you'll be able to see where I'm heading, or where you're heading, if you will. Now, do I have anything in here? No. Am I in the right spot? Nope. Let's take a look there. I'm just taking a quick glance at emails here. Oh, there we are. That was a bonus. Where are we? Okay, that's a whole pile of things I gotta look at in my email later. But for the moment, I'm looking at things going, where am I heading? Now I've got the nervous system in place. I've got the brain of my home, of my business up and running. It's clear. Okay. Like the only thing on the desk right now are the things I'm actually working on, which is the way it should be during the day. They'll get clear before I go to bed. You know, but if you're not, if you're looking for forgiveness because you've done something wrong or because you're holding yourself back and you know you did something wrong, so you're asking for forgiveness, absolutely change what you're doing. Okay. Ask yourself, are you treating somebody in a way that you would not appreciate being treated? If the answer to that is yes, then you gotta quit treating people that way. Okay. It's just that simple. Now, see, I've got 12, no, that's my list of chores. Where, pray tell, that one. See, I've got 12 major projects to work on this year. Okay. Um, Yesterday I couldn't tell you. Yes, I could, and I think I did. The immigration work that we're doing to bring my wife across the border permanently went exceptionally well yesterday. So that's been started. We've got the open account with them, and they're doing what they can. Then I've got the Ilderbachkian Chronicles, which I'm pinning down to get written properly. I'll tell you, I went into a tailspin, emotionally speaking, 4 years ago, and I've been having a heck of a time getting out of it. So everything's stalled. Then I've got the decluttering, as we know, it's being pulled apart. And while I'm doing the decluttering, I'm organizing. So I will tell you right now, one of the biggest things I'm working on up front is my pantry. You know, to make sure that I'm aiming at 3 months of non-perishable goods of non-perishable food in my house. Okay, because that's right. Because of the fact that there always does come a time when finances are a little tight. By putting a 3 month stock, having years doesn't work. Found that out the hard way. Okay, but having a 3 month stock of non perishables is a good starting place. Okay, then I've got the whole thing with the finances, making sure I stay on track of those. And like I said, let's scrap the idea of a budget because a budget doesn't work unless you have an absolutely stable income. For those of you working on your finances, if you have a partner or if you have kids, absolutely include them in your planning. Let them know what you're working on. And of course, so many parents will go, "Oh, it's too much stress for the kids." I'll tell you, it's a lot less stress if you give it to them now and walk through it with them piece at a time. That is, if you wait for them to move out so they can figure it out on their own. Okay, so I'm working on that side of it. The pantry I've already mentioned. I've already started putting together a list of Christmas gifts and or cards that are going out. Okay. Then I've got a series of books called Meet Thee. These are tied straight to the races of the world, where I'm taking these individual races and expanding them. Okay. As they come available, they'll hit the market. Then I've got Races of the World itself, obviously, and the expansion of Inner Voice Enterprises. Then, just to tie things off, I'm looking very strongly at my health. And again, if you're not feeling absolutely on the money, it would be advisable to, number one, check your diet. If you're dealing with a doctor, absolutely. If it's working for you, stay with them. Whatever you do, if they've got you on medication, work towards getting off it, certainly. But do not pull the plug on it unless you literally have no option. Okay? And I mean no option. In my case, I came off my medication for blood pressure, for cholesterol, and for diabetes because they didn't give me refills. So I used it until I was out. Joe, how you doing? Glad you could join us. That said, I immediately swapped over and started looking at naturopathic methods and exercise routines to bring my health back up on track. Because like I told my wife, I'm not planning on dying anytime soon. Of course, in all fairness, I didn't plan on dying the last time. Let's see here. We go back over to here just to see. Let's refresh that. I just keep tabs on my membership to see if it goes. Okay, to see if it goes anywhere. Now, the neat part about all of this is I've got a plan in place. And this is why all the paperwork is sitting here. Now, that is my list of chores and what have you. Scratch notes for when I require them. Because again, if you have a topic that you think would be beneficial, Rafa, how you doing? Glad you could join us. What did I do here? Because I missed somebody. We start back at the top. Eternity guy came in with the gold. Philip in with the silver. We scroll down a bit and we get Cowie, you are in with bronze. And next is Ken Stockley. You are in with honorable mention. I am absolutely pleased with the number of people showing up lately. This does seem to be in some kind of a upswing. Oh, yeah, Rafa. A day in the office, I literally am puttering around in my office because I'm in the middle of laying out an empire. Okay, I'm nobody to speak of. Okay, not my eyes. I mean, some of the people in the chat room have been following me for years. But what I'm doing is building an empire because I'm no longer content with the way this world is going. And the reality of it is this. So many people, myself included for the longest time, were pointing at the politicians, at the corporate leaders, at the spiritual leaders, as in your priests and pastors and what have you. And they turn around and say, it's somebody else's fault that I'm in the mess I'm in. Okay, so what I'm looking at is the tools I personally use to change what direction I'm going and what's happening in my world. The reality is, if you're not content with the way your world is going, it's up to you to change it. I do not deny that the big players are setting the stage in a very negative fashion. Okay, the reality is, if you watch my streams at all, this is just me puttering in the house and puttering in the office. But on my live stream, Positive Perceptions, which comes on 8 p.m. Pacific, we cover a number of things. UFOs, aliens, that sort of thing on Friday and Saturday. On Sunday, spirituality. Monday is finance. Tuesday is self-help. And then Wednesday and Thursday, I don't come on air. Okay, but what I'm looking at with building the empire right now, I've got the nerve line in place. I've got the communication lines in place. Now it's a question of encouraging people to start sharing. Okay, the backbone of change in my world is using a list. As in, put things on paper one at a time. Well, start with 3. Okay, but make sure those lists make sure each of those tasks will only take 15 minutes to half an hour. Okay. Now, here's the neat part. I talk about being positive and focusing on accomplishment and what have you. I am speaking from the lap of experience. I've been bankrupt twice using creative financing and a bounce check. Two different accounts. Okay. Most of my life I've spent fighting depression. Ultimately, Philip, yes. And yes, I am. It's funny you should bring that up. One of my goals for this year is to make sure that Christmas turns out to be extremely good. So I'm making a list of a couple of things. The people I'm planning on giving a gift to, okay, and I'm picking them up as I go along throughout the year. This won't save any money. It will likely cost you more, but it does kill the damage at the end of the year. Okay, the reality is the tools I talk about are literally the same tools that I personally use in my day-to-day life. Oh, we're already at the bottom, that's why. But now that I've got things in place, Positive Perception and Positive Perspective is my free magazine. And if you go to the link at the top of the page, it says buymeacoffee.com/inner voice J. Okay. By going there, you'll find all the books I've written: self-help, alien, science fiction novels, children's books, and poetry. Speaking of which, that reminds me, I saw one up here. I just finished writing. I wrote it a while back, but I stumbled across it. And where is it? Where is what I'm looking for? I'm standing here. I got a whole list of things, and that is not what I needed. Okay, I'll have to find that afterward. Because I don't like leaving people stand here completely confused, although I'm good at it. The one thing I refuse to do, at least on the hour I'm here and the hour I'm on tonight, is I don't deal with the negative side very much. I do my best to follow. Philip, I agree with you, but here's why. Like Philip's just asked, why bother with fools when you can think about tools? Rest assured, sometimes those are interchangeable depending on your vocabulary. But here's why you pay attention to the fools. Sometimes, even amongst the most dense individual, and there's some people that rank right up there with really dense, okay, inside their information, you'll find some little tidbit that's usable. Okay. There's only a couple of topics I just refuse to deal with here. Okay. Or on the live stream. I don't deal with politics and I don't deal with religion on the whole. And certainly not a specific one. Donna, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I like it when I see people come in here that I'm familiar with. It's nice to see them pop in. Because I do concern myself with how people are functioning. Let's check that. I get a kick out of it because this whole idea that I started talking about earlier is literally a question of what do we do with this idea of sinning? How do you get around that? Well, the way you get around that is absolutely ask for forgiveness. If you do something, you call somebody something that wasn't appropriate, apologize. But at the same time you're doing that, do apologize, ask for forgiveness, but do your best to alter your behavior. Okay? This is a thing people seem to forget. And so many people go, oh, I'm special. I've already prayed and asked for forgiveness. That's not the one you need to get forgiveness from. The one you got to get forgiveness from is the person that is here that you did something wrong to. Okay? And all the apologies in the world are absolutely useless if you don't make the effort to change it. Okay, to change your behavior. Now, what is. Oh, I looked at that already. Oh, I've got to still do that. Okay. So those I will deal with. Keep that there for the moment. And yes, you see me keep taking my eyeballs off. Where are we? Stuart goes, Joe goes, long time ago, about 11 years ago to be exact, I used to love to go fishing and spend time with family. Now I'm into the paranormal and dream journal. I do believe in God, but I'm still not perfect. I love the way you put it there some time back, Joe. Where you said, I'm not perfect, but I'm doing my best. And I have taken that myself to heart. The fact is, I make mistakes. Some of them are because of true ignorance. I literally didn't get the message, didn't figure out how to deal with it. Hence, my temper is still a mess. Okay, I went bankrupt twice. Currently, I am struggling to get back out of debt. I spent my whole life in debt, but I figured out how to do it. And if you give me somewhere between 4 and 6 years, I'll be out of debt. But this is why I write self-help books as well. And those I keep very short because the reason most self-help books are long, I kid you not, you read through them, they give you bits and pieces, but over half of the books on occasion, on most of them, are full of other people saying, hey, I used to have a problem and I did this, and now I'm standing on top of the world. But the testimonials don't turn around and walk you through it. I'm in the process of doing my best to walk people through what I'm doing. Okay, the things that are working for me. So, ultimately, that's what it boils down to. Now, for those of you that have already been to my site, a couple of things that are being added to it as soon as I can get them is I will be bringing t-shirts, ball caps, and coffee cups online. Okay, but that's going to take some time, especially with the coffee cups, because the printer I know of that can do them wants a whole pile of them all at once. T-shirts and what have you will come up early. They'll come up earlier because I'll be able to get limited stock in. Okay, I don't know how to do the online shopping thing all that well, so I do it this way. You go on to buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/innervoicej. The books you can get in PDF form or in hard copy. Anything that comes to me in hard copy, that comes requesting hard copy, I give myself 3 business days to get it out. Because I hate to tell you this, but the post office isn't always open. Okay. And with that in mind, I got to work around that side of it. Okay. Now, the other thing that I look at is this whole idea of, I know I've got some hiccups. I know I've got some problems. But if I can look in the mirror and go, look, you used to be, you being me, I used to be a full-blown alcoholic and a drug addict. Okay. But I walked away from both of them cold and am now drug-free, unless we count coffee. Okay. Drug-free and alcohol-free. I have been for years. And I know how to get you there without withdrawals. Okay. The nice part about it is I'm a firm believer we are all interconnected. Okay. Now, I can't change what I've done in the past, but what I can change is what I'm doing for the present regarding the future. Okay. What is that? That is, oh, I did not do that yet. Okay. So, with this in mind, okay, I take a look at this neat little thing here. This is my email address book. I don't keep an address. I don't save my addresses to to anywhere except hard copy. And the reason I do that is because I get people, every now and again, as you know, on the internet, a power failure can, a virus can attack your computer. There is not a hacker on the planet that can hack my database. Sure, they can go into my computer, they can go in the email and pull it out, but they can't pull an entire database. Okay, because the entire interconnected database is right here. Okay, let's see a hacker get into that. And since I happen to be at home most of the time, breaking into my house to get it isn't necessarily a good idea. Okay, so what I'm doing as far as that goes, all that's in place now. The next thing I have to do is get the physical output happening. And number one on the list, and it'll go out today because I've already got everything. Let me just double check because I don't want to misquote myself here. Okay, I know the address, the index has to be sorted out, but let's see. That's all black. Everything is written. It's all been confirmed. So all I got left to go back over is to double check my catalog that refers you straight to. I hope it refers you straight to. Well, on the back of the PDF even, which is like I send this out via email. Okay, I send it out to everybody that has asked for it. And on the back page, you will find, I do believe, hope you will. Let's see if I've already got that in place. Where are we? Yep, there we go. The bottom link is buymeacoffee.com/InnerVoiceJ. Okay, and that's how you can get a hold of me. Now, the really neat part from my standpoint is yesterday, because of the fact that I'm looking into the immigration side, situations worked out rather well. And I ended up with a neat little side effect. Okay, I ended up getting to get back in touch with a boss of mine from 30 years ago. And Joe is just letting us go, right? And he's just letting us know you can actually get home delivery from some grocery stores and get your groceries that way too. Although I haven't tried it yet. Joe, I can tell you from practical experience, up here, my ex-wife taught me how to do just that. So I don't do major grocery shopping by car anymore. I phone them up and say, bring me this. And I'll tell you, the store I deal with, in the right time block, I only pay $5 delivery charge. Okay. And this opens the door. It means I can stock my house. Okay. And this is something I've been seriously contemplating. I'm gonna be running. That's one of my tasks to do today and do in the next couple of days. Is to take a look at it and get a full order so my pantry is stocked. I'm aiming to get 3 months. I'll settle for a month for the moment. But I can do that by simply putting it together and then ordering. Once I've done that, then I have to get things re-put. Now, you remember when I mentioned to start with, I got a new credit card in that I had no intention on paying interest on. Well, the problem is I've got 3 major things that have to be dealt with. Okay. And it's got to be done by credit card because that's the way it's done, the way modern world works. One is the immigration paperwork to bring my wife up here and keep her here. Now, she's already here. Okay, but she's moving up from the States. So that one has to be done. And the Ilderbaching Chronicles, I desire to get the cover work finished with. Yeah, Philip, that's exactly it. If I ask for it first thing in the morning, it only costs $5 to get delivered. If I ask for it anytime during the rest of the day, it's $10. Needless to say, I take the early morning because I'm usually up before that anyway. Okay, especially if I've got something coming in. Now, where it comes to building this empire of mine, in positive perspectives, I'm walking people through it. And I'll tell you the questions that are in there. Understanding that running a household is, in my opinion, the number one most important business in existence. Okay, so I cover the things like there's a whole series I'm working on called Do You Desire to Be Successful? Okay, not only do I have the questions there, but I'm answering them for me so you guys can see an example of how that works. Okay, of what use it is. Okay, and I do encourage you absolutely because you guys have helped me a staggering amount. Okay, with your encouragement to move forward and to stay on track here. Okay, but what I discovered was the interaction I see, and I see it happen between people in the chat room too here, where you guys support each other. This is the reality behind what I'm aiming at doing. So I've got the books coming out. That's what is drawing my income. Because I'll tell you, I require a minimum of $2,000 a month, okay, to actually live without support. Well, Philip goes, people talking about having to wait in a long line when updating the driver's license. I went at 8 a.m. just after they opened. Didn't have to wait at all. And that's the whole thing. People, and I've seen that happen way too often. The reality is, Philip, so many people go, I desire to, I'm just going to sleep in a little later. This doesn't work. Okay, I mean, it works great for sleeping in later. But this is why I say, in the booklet I wrote, Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams, I tell you exactly how to break that habit. And in a nutshell, it boils down to this. As soon as your eyes open in the morning when you wake up, as soon as your eyes focus, okay, enough you can see, get up, get out of bed, go to the washroom, do what you have to, okay, then come back to your bedroom, okay, either get dressed or make your bed. Whichever order you decide to do it in, either one works just as well. But by doing that, and then leave the bedroom, what you've just done, because not only do I tell you how to do this, but I tell you why you're not going to want to. Okay. And one of the biggest reasons is I just want another hour's sleep. Okay. By getting out of bed and forcing yourself up, what you're actually doing is beating the biggest obstacle you'll ever find. Yeah, and the biggest one you'll ever face. Your own stubborn disposition. Philip, that's terrible. I'm going to play off of that one though. Philip goes, the early bird doesn't have to wait in line for the worm. He doesn't have to wait as long in the worm line. Very much the case. I look at it going, you know the old saying, the early bird gets the worm. And this is the pessimistic side of dark humor. The early worm gets got. Okay? So, when you get up in the morning, because you forced yourself out of bed, you've now overcome the most annoying obstacle, the biggest obstacle you'll ever face, your own stubborn disposition. By making your bed, okay, according to everybody I've spoken to, which is well over 100,000 clients that I've personally dealt with, okay, and better than 80,000 of them were literally looking for me specifically. Okay, the massive majority of them go, making the bed is annoying. So you can get that done. You've also now accomplished the most annoying task in existence for most people. You know, so from that standpoint, I look at it this way, and yes, I talk about the books I write here, the fact I do consulting. I was out for coffee this morning and got a text message. Can you spare 15 minutes today to help me sort through a problem? Okay. So when I responded right away. I says, as soon as I get home, I'll give you a call if that works for you. So I came home right then. Okay, now let me just take a look at something. Right then, I had managed to pull in another $20 because that's all I charge for 15. Okay, now I require to take my share of we'll try English, my share of the running of the household run. Okay, I require about $70 a month. Okay, in January, I've already made over 100. Oh, look at that! I mean, way more than that. 83, 100, 200. I've made over $200 to cover my house expenses based on the business. Okay, I've already covered it. Okay, what's that? That's 160. Yeah, so I'm just 160 and 60 is 220, 100, 280. Yeah, today I finished off enough income to make it to cover my business expenses. So January, I'm already so far ahead of the game. It's insane. Okay, but I'm not about to slow things down. And I encourage you to follow suit. If you're not content with the way your life is going, it's time for you to alter it. And I hate to be the one to tell you this. No, I don't. But blaming somebody else for your behavior, and I see this is really prevalent in amongst alcoholics and drug addicts, where they point the finger at somebody else and go, it's your fault. Okay? And the reality is, people around you may be annoying. I like the way it was put to me. Your first coffee is going to help you get your head on straight and get the day started. The coffees after that are to help deal with the idiots. And rest assured, I know that's a bad word. Okay, I got over it pretty quick. That's just it, Donna. I appreciate you recognizing that. I'm not subtle. So when I talk about things that I'm doing, these are the steps I'm taking to make sure I end up on track. When I was talking to my former boss, this is the boss from 30 years ago when I was working on one of the first psychic lines I ever worked on. I got talking to him yesterday, and he really wants to reconnect with me as soon as he's got a moment, so he's going to give me a buzz at that point. The fact of the matter is, when I worked with him, 75 to 80% of my calls were literally requests. Okay, as in, they came looking for me specifically. Now, I'm nothing special. I'm direct, I'm honest, I'm probably tactless. Okay, I don't sugarcoat things. Okay, I remember one lady, she phoned me up, and she was ready to end her life. And she started off the call by going, I'm so depressed, I've tried committing suicide 4 times. I looked at her and said, you've tried ending it 4 times, and you're still giving it on and you're failing in that too? I said, lass, pick a different hobby. This one ain't working. Well, she phoned me back 6 weeks later and thanked me for talking her out of it. I'm thinking I didn't talk anybody out anything. I just pointed out the facts. You know, the reality is, whatever you're up to, okay, if you got a business idea, and the girl that I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, this Taylor Adams, she is local, but she's got a drive in her that I haven't seen in a very long time. Okay, so I told her, sad to say, Philip, neither did I. I found out about it a while back, but here's the nice part. At least they don't claim, they don't complain when you use the word, as long as you're not telling somebody they are one. Now, I'm not about to go into what I think of people, but this Taylor Adams, she is aiming at building a house painting business. Okay, now here's a woman with drive, and she's only, I'm guessing, in her early 20s, maybe her mid. She's mastering, she's taking a PhD course in psychology. She's working at the restaurant I live at, and she's aiming at opening her own business. Well, she's already opened it. Now it's a case of making it happen. That's drive I'm not about to ignore. Okay, and for those of you that do have either a poem that you're looking to put to print, or a short story, or for that matter, a novel, my business, Inner Voice Enterprises, is already listed as a publishing company. Okay, I will be getting proper contracts and what have you done up this year. I'm going to write them. Then I'll take them to a lawyer and go, make this legal. Okay, now of course the lawyer I know happens to be an immigration one, but I can bet that he knows other industry people in various different departments that I can work with. So I'll get him to refer them, because they will tell you, word of mouth advertising is bar none the best in the world. Okay, it's the best in existence still to this day. Now, I worked it out. Like, let me ask you this. How many people actually have ever heard of getting paid for word of mouth advertising? Like when you spread word, when you get something and you find it was beneficial. Okay. How many companies actually pay for that? Well, the short answer from my end, I'd never run into one. I figured out how to track and do it. Okay. And the only proviso there is I've got to bring my income through Inner Voice up to the point where I'm drawing a minimum of $2,000 a month. Actually, I think I've got it worked out at $2,500. That enables me to take care of me first. Because remember, karmic law number one is be true to yourself first. This doesn't mean be selfish. This means make certain you're taking care of your own requirements before you start pushing them away. Before you start giving your money away. One of the things I look at, where am I here? We're at 140. 140 being the length of time that I've been on the air. Okay. I only run till 5 o'clock. We're at 22. Now, I heard somebody put it one day that sinning was going against your own insight. And I don't know if that's the way I look at it, but I absolutely look at it going, if you're doing something to somebody else, okay, that you would not appreciate being done to you, absolutely ask them for forgiveness for what they did, for what you did. Okay, but change your behavior. Learn to bite your tongue. Now, I was told decades back, I required that I should actually learn tact. I looked at the person, I went, tact? They went, yeah. The ability to tell somebody where to go and have them look forward to the trip. Okay, and I don't mean telling them where the grocery store is. I looked at this person, I went, okay, Now, I have a problem with this. If I'm mad enough to tell you where you should go, why do I care what, whether or not you look forward to it? Okay. For me, I just desire you to be out of my way. Okay. Because I got no time for it anymore. The stress of striving to bottle what I'm going through is causing me severe problems. I blew a gasket today because of the incompetent people I was dealing with. Okay, and net result, both my legs ended up in pain and my chest. Blood pressure was up in the high 150s, which ain't as bad as it's been. And that's the systolic, the upper number. The dystolic, being the lower number, was down over 90, was up over 90. This is not good. I've already had enough heart attacks and one stroke, and that was enough. Okay, so I look at it going, I'm not doing that anymore. But if I don't bottle it, it causes a lot of problems. Okay, so like I told my wife, yeah, not by bottling it can cause a problem. Releasing it can cause a problem. But if I release it, yes, I have to deal with the problems it causes because let's face it, my mouth goes into gear. Okay, and then my brain goes on hold or vice versa. Absolutely, Philip. You know, the reality is, see, now there are times when they're beneficial. And this is a site I go to periodically because it's hilarious to look at. Go to the darwinawards.com. Okay, it shows people that have a remarkable lack of intelligence of things that they could do. Okay, where it literally has cost them either their health or their life. Okay, one primary example I remember reading about one where the guy was siphoning gas from a campsite. He was going to the campers that were parked, and he was siphoning the gas out. But this guy did a brilliant thing. Okay, he got to a couple of campers, and then he got to this one, and the owner had spotted him doing it and called the cops. Or more to the point, spotted him doing it after the fact. He called the police. Well, the police showed up, and the guy was still throwing up on the ground. He was absolutely writhing in agony. Okay, now I don't know if you know anything about campers and pipelines. Okay, but he went to on the back right and back left side of the camper. He went to the back end of it and got into the back pipe. Now, for those of you that don't know what that means, your gas tank is the front pipe at the back on the left. Okay, most campers, most mobile homes, the back pipe is your dirty water pipe, aka the sewer system. So when the cop showed up, he goes, "Do you want me to charge him?" And the guy's sitting there looking at this poor guy writhing on the ground, going, "You know, I don't know if I should charge him or pay him." They did end up calling the ambulance and hauling the guy away. Something about drinking dirty water is a bad thing for your health. And clearly, Philip, you got the message before I got to that point. Okay, that was one that I read about. Another one was a guy trying to siphon gas. And if you know anything about gas, you know this is going to end poorly. He wanted to see if there was gas in the tank. So he opens the gas cap up, and he used a Bic lighter to check and see if there was gas in the tank. Now you can see where this is going if you know anything about gas. Okay, well, he didn't actually get to siphon any gas, but I think that one actually killed the guy. The one with the mobile home, with the motorhome, he survived. He wished he didn't, but he survived. The other one, the car blew up, or the camper did in this case. Okay, these are things I saw on DarwinAwards.com. Yeah, no doubt there, Philip. Philip just goes, I've never heard of a sewage thief before. You know, and I mean, it to me, it was funny. I do not find theft funny at all. This is one of the things that's caused me so much stress is I'm being ripped off currently. Okay. And there's nothing, the law seems to be backing it up. You know, I haven't given up on it, but I definitely have given up on the cause of it. You know, but one of the things, like I'm building, I've got the network for the communication lines. As this grows, as my following grows here, I will continue to expand it. Eventually, I will end up taking the money because what I look at is this: I don't require, and in my opinion, nobody requires $1 billion net profit. Nobody does. Okay, so I'm looking at it going, okay, I bring in my money. I earn whatever I earn. Yeah, that's just terrible. you know, Phil goes, this is a stick up. Give me all your sewage. You know, I'm a firm believer when the money comes in, when I set the number at 2,500, it puts it above what I require to barely survive. When I hit that point, a good 75% or better of the net profit above that line will go back to people that I'm trying to help. And rest assured, I'm not looking at it going, "Oh, I'm going to go to a registered charity," because as I discussed a while back, okay, as I mentioned a while back, if you've got a charity that you've opened and it's registered, so you get tax breaks and what have you, that to me is not charity. That to me is a way of getting a tax break. The charity is a side effect. When I'm looking at charity, I'm going to be looking at my net profit going, okay, this is net profit beyond what I require. So I'm going to use that to buy a working poor, somebody that's working and has to save to actually get a meal out. So I'll be dealing with the working poor, okay, for groceries, for a meal out. I will deal with the food banks and the SPCA, but I will take food to them. There we go. Joe goes, I used to go family camping in a big tent up north 20 years ago. It was fun. I slept great, probably because I was in the middle of it. I was in the woods the whole time. Absolutely. Uh-oh. Trying to read a name here. I really need a better set of eyes. I'm not quite certain how I'm going to pronounce that. That looks like hang later. Okay. My eyes, I've got an appointment in the end of February to get new eyeglasses. Okay. It's going really well here. I'm really glad to see you. You know, you know, one of the things that I look at is this. If you can enjoy yourself, that will bring your stress down. The reason I don't go anywhere camping anymore, I did when I was with my mom and dad, when I was just a wee lad. But I would get lost the second I got out of sight of the camper. And it's still pretty much the same problem. I appreciate that, Hank. And the reality is I'm aiming for a better night. My day started off as shambles. You know, but I am coming back tonight at 8 p.m. right here for Positive Perceptions, where we're going to be looking at your house is your image, or your home, more to the point, your home is. Wherever you live, that's where you build your image. This is why around my office, around the entirety of my home, I am going to have the best of the best. Okay. For me, this is critically important. The fact of the matter is, I look at it going, it doesn't matter what people see outside. If it doesn't draw attention and I can have a very tidy, and let's face it, I'm a pack rat. Tidy it's all in, well, it is a 4-letter word, but one I'm actually looking to sort out. You think about tidy is a 4-letter word, so is tied up. And what I'm looking at now is taking all the tools that I'm personally putting to use to show people how I'm doing it. Okay, so you can learn from my miscalculations. Let's see, we pop that in. And yeah, we are sitting right now. I got a kick out of it. I was talking to a marketing advertiser that was trying to talk me into actually paying him to help with my expansion. Whoa, how you doing? Glad you could join us. He was trying to convince me that if I paid him, he could help me. I told him it's not going to happen. He was saying, you're not even monetized yet. I've been here for 3 years. Last year, I made almost $3,000 by what I'm doing. Now, that said, just because I'm curious at this point, if I go 2,800 actually, divided by 12, I was bringing in 233 a month. Okay, through these 3 venues. With that in mind, okay, I've already just about made that in January, including paying for my business license. I've almost got that now. As a matter of fact, let me see what it was. Because I figure if I'm going to do this, if I keep you guys posted, 100, 200, 220, and that's 220 in. I was making 233, okay? So thus far, and I haven't got to the end of the month. I may be able to pull a little more money. Well, I will be able to, because Buy Me a Coffee has a little sitting there. And I figure if I pull it in, then what I end up with, I've got another 30 there. I will make better money this month than I did for the average of last year. And now I'm starting to actually track it. Hey, Blue, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The reality is, with people coming in, I really appreciate the support because it does help to corroborate what so many of you have told me. Don't stop broadcasting because it's helping. Now, I look at myself going, I'm really not that good. I'm not funny to talk to. I don't have a sense of humor to work with. And all I'm doing is telling you this is how to straighten your life. Okay, or more to the point, this is what I'm doing to straighten mine. Okay, I don't sit here playing Skyrim or any one of these things like COD. I don't sit playing games. Okay, it doesn't work for me. So I end up doing what I'm doing here. And apparently it's starting to have an impact. So I'm going to continue doing this. Now, we are down to the last 5 minutes. And with that in mind, guys, I will be back tonight. And like I said, let's see here. Let's get there. Tonight is the 27th, sorry. And we will be dealing with your home is your self-image. That'll be at 8 p.m. tonight, right here on YouTube. Okay. And then we'll be back again on Friday. But my Wednesday and Thursday are my days off. Okay. So my days off are Wednesday and Thursday. But I will be back again on Friday, again, 4 p.m. Pacific, for a day in the office. We'll just see where it goes because I don't plan what I'm going to babble about. Okay. But again, if people come in with a question, I'm quite willing to give you an honest answer. Not necessarily the answer you're looking for. Well, maybe not one that you like, but certainly one that's honest. Now, with that in mind, I do want to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with me. Really appreciate it. I'm going to do it this way because otherwise I don't. So I want to say thank you very much for sharing your time with me. I look forward to talking to you again in the future, in the very near future. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.